angles are really limited. You're pushed into these high ground positions as you normally want to play in Widowmaker, but they're not giving you the kind of overarching Widow angles that you're looking for. There's none of those extremely long angles, except of course looking onto point, but so much cover on point makes it very hard to threaten as a Widowmaker.
All right, meanwhile, look at the Chinese Taipei side. You got Blue on the Tracer, you got Shaolin on the Pharah. So Chinese Taipei, they'll still have a Pharah presence, but they're going to be a little bit more on the ground here, just in the face of Japan.
Yeah, if Dep can get a surprising pick on the combo, though, this could really set him up for mid. He's getting a chance. This is one.
Dep under pressure, immediately has to back out. Chinese Taipei, they did watch a little bit yesterday. They know you can't let Dep go unchecked. Meanwhile, Kenmo gonna fall really early here, so Dep, if he's gonna bring it back, he's gonna need to find something soon. Anakin, meanwhile, one shot, almost gets a second. Shaolin just barely able to get out of the fray. Meanwhile, though, Chinese Taipei has more people near the point. The point, of course, is unlocked. Neither team has committed onto it just yet. Chinese Taipei gonna be throwing a few people there. Blue, though, falls. Dep connects. And Japan now moving their way back in. They might not get first control, but they certainly will be able to retake pretty quickly here.
Yeah, Dep taking a little bit of time to come online there, but finds the Mercy, the most important pick on the map. But OYO striking back. Maybe Chinese Taipei looking to regroup with their spawns and take another fight. 10-10 off the map, though.
Yeah, 10-10 immediately gone. And Japan, this is pretty good when you're running a Widow, right? Where Widow, now that you're actually holding the point, you have more room to find people on the defensive Widow.
Yeah, I mean, this is really up to Blue to shut down Dep. Of course, any Widowmaker, no matter how weak the position, is going to dominate if he's not under pressure. We saw early on mid, a Ting getting in his face, you know, denying him those angles, but even that, he's still getting a chance, and I love this position from Dep. This is going to be really unexpected.
Yeah, he's sneaking here on the left side, not giving Chinese Taipei a good way of seeing where he is. Now, oh boy, he's going pretty deep here, looking for the counterpart on the other side. Blue gonna get out of it. Widow v Widow now on the side. Infosight up, gives Dep that little bit of extra edge. Now, not taking that. It's in fact gonna bend on further back. Those tanks are coming on in fast and furious. So Winston right in his face. Dep completely taken out by a tank.
Yeah, a Ting completely shutting down Dep. Blue getting in Claire's face, finding the pickoff, and Anakin here coming back, trying to strike back into this round, but not enough.
All right, Chinese Taipei trying to get in. They got the early pick on the Dep, but right now, it's been okay for Japan to hold back. Blue gets the D-Mech, but again, you gotta get people onto the point here where, all right, you're getting people on the outskirts, now throw bodies on the point, and Chinese Taipei, they're gonna do that, but this was a decent delay coming in from Japan.
Yeah, I think they actually are going to swing this fight back. 10-10 going to cap the point, but the rest of his team not on the same page, caught up by the Winston elsewhere on the map, and you're not even getting the point capture. This is looking really grim for Chinese Taipei. Blue coming up in the infra site, this could be the way back into the map.
And you mentioned it's a way back in. How do you set things up with the infosight here?
Well, I mean, infosight is such a powerful ability because it enables everyone on your team to just have perfect awareness. They don't need to worry about anything. They know exactly what to expect. It really just gets you into mid, gets you around those Widow angles.
Meanwhile, we do have this back and forth here on the Pharah's Anakin. Looking for Shaolin on the other side. Now goes in deep, looks for OYO. Almost gets him, but not quite. Taken down. Overdove and punishes Blue. Gets 1, 2, and now this is what Chinese Taipei needs to get back in this point, especially with the Pharah Mercy down.
Blue finds a third, absolutely popping off here as Blue completely taking control of this Widow. We thought Dep would have a bit of an advantage, but Blue seems to have another idea about that one.
All right, well, Chinese Taipei, it's 99% for Japan, but they can actually hold and bring this back, but they have to be perfect here, and that's a challenge on Ultimate Economy.
Yeah, definitely double support ult, double tank ult coming in for Japan. This is going to be the real test right here. But if they can make this hold, things are going to start to look better for them. Blue taking a great position on the top of the lighthouse.
What Blue would really love to get here is that early pickoff on to Anakin on the other side. Of course, Dep would be even better. You have to worry about the other Widow. Sees the fire. Anakin takes it up close and personal and gets Blue down. Deals with his main threat. Kenmo those down early on. It's a 5-on-5 as we start up here. A Ting holding a little bit further back. Primal Rage up. He's going to be disruptive. He's going to be going for Dep. He pops a Primal and goes, you know what? There's his end in the corner and actually gets completely chunked. Has to back out. Dep was able to get the Mercy while that was going on, and Japan has played around this Primal Rage quite well.
Yeah, now Dep finally with the infra side of his own. Recontesting on an infra side is off the time suicide, but of course, Chinese Taipei has no choice. Japan at 99, looking to close out this round. Kenmo completely zoning out the back line. I don't think they're even going to be able to touch here.
Not going to be able to get back, and you think about what we saw here. This was probably the hardest map for Dep of anything else on Ilios, right? Where you think about the ruins, and you think about the well. I mean, well, it's kind of hit or miss, but there are some actually pretty sneaky spots on well near the top.
Yeah, and well, you know, is a little bit of a better hit scan map because the fair is so common on that map. You know, you can, even if you're forced into a more passive position, you can still get value out of the Widow, and I'm interested to see whether either team goes for a tankier style on this map. Sometimes that Orisa Hog is favored. Right now, it looks like they're setting up for exactly the same as last round with that classic dive. Really, the matchup we need to see here on mid is if Blue is not going to start on that Widow and going to go for an off-mirror Tracer against the Widow, he has to be killing something. He has to be putting the pressure on early, because if Depp is allowed to take shots, he is going to find those heads.
Well, we'll see what Depp does here, but this is actually for real. Anakin flexes off the Pharah to a Hammond. We're getting some real disruption here.
Yeah, this is amazing on a map like this. You know, that massive pit in the middle, such a major risk for something like a Zenyatta with no movement abilities to escape the knockoff.
Okay, Anakin right now holding to the left. Just going to be waiting for the rest of his team. And the key for Hammond here, you got to have that key coordination on the dive. But Claire's already gone, so Anakin going to try and make them both have a bad situation. Equalizes by getting OYO, but it's far too late. Chinese Taipei, they just dove in swiftly after that early pickoff.
I mean, this is exactly the kind of super fast pace you need when you're running a Tracer into the Widow. You cannot give her time. You know, time is that essential resource that she needs. You know, every shot she gets to take is just a risk that you could lose a pick and end the fight before it begins. But Anakin spawn camping OYO again, staying deep in the back line, exactly how Hammond should be played.
Yeah, he just rolled all the way back and goes, you know what? I liked getting rid of Zenyatta. I'm going to do it again. Now, there's actually a decent shot here for Japan. You get Anakin, who can flank in directly from the back, fresh off the Zenyatta. The rest of Japan coming in from the front, but the front line of Chinese Taipei is still strong. Tayo, Saba, out of the fight immediately. Blue trying to equalize, but this is still not too bad here for Chinese Taipei. Rez comes in, Blue holding on the other side. Pulse bomb, up. What's he going to use it on? Not going to use it on anything. Depp grabs him from the side.
Yeah, OYO elects to go onto the Lucio, something a little bit harder to catch for this Hammond. I like this reselection here.
Right now, though, this is a long fight, and that favors Chinese Taipei. Japan's been struggling to get back in, but this fight has been all over the place right now, and part of that is Anakin, who has just actually been all around. He's been disruptive, and Japan actually, in the melee, does manage to retake.
Yeah, they're going to get the retake here, but will they be able to take the fight win? Chinese Taipei already recapping. You know, you hate to lose 13% there, but it's not the end of the world. You maintain control, and still, with a lot of ults to work with, are Chinese Taipei.
All right, Chinese Taipei on the retake, still in a really good spot here. Japan, if they're going to make a move, they're going to have to do it soon, and they're going to have a good push with the Valkyrie.
Yeah, and we can see Depp here forced off of his favorite character. You know, wants the McCree, gives him a little more flexibility, a little more of an answer to that dive that's been putting so much pressure on him this far in this round.
All right, Japan on the way in. Minefield up for the Hammond. Sabagad in a little bit rough spot. Does get healed up this time. Valkyrie going to be invested. And now, here's where you learn the support ult. Self-destruct gets crazy S. And Japan now working at the man advantage. They're down the Diva, but otherwise still good. Anakin gonna roll out a little bit away from the fight. Depp pushed back, moving back in, landing shot after shot. Japan is grinding their way back into the fight.
Yeah, and that all started with Tayo winning the duel on his counterpart Blue. You know, taking out that opponent's Tracer, much like the Widow duel, leaves you with a lot of freedom. Really nobody left to chase you down with such a speed advantage on the map. Japan gonna retake here. Depp on the McCree, I love the swap. It's really paying off here. Gonna be able to get a little more value when he is dove. You know, at least he has a flashbang, he has that threat, and also the ability to roll away.
How good is a Hammond here when you're on the defense in terms of just setting up ambushes for the attackers coming in?
I mean, it's really gonna be up to Tayo and Kenmo to sort of follow up on those slams. You know, that slam is a perfect setup for a Tracer one clip or a Diva to just fly through and clean up those supports. So it's up to them to see if they can follow up.
Japan holding towards the inner side right now. Pulse one comes up, Tayo doesn't connect, but OYO got dove on the other end. Meanwhile, Tayo taking down Shaolin. Gets a nice rocket. Chinese Taipei in the air. 2 kills from Shaolin. Looking for a little bit more, but on the ground is still Depp. His Deadeye's up. It's high noon, but Shaolin gets up. Shaolin exploding with the barrage, and that's going to be more than enough for Chinese Taipei to retake, and Japan might not even be able to get back here in time.
Yeah, it's looking grim for them. Of course, Hammond, one of the fastest characters in the game, just spawning so late, though. Tayo coming in for that last second touch, but he's going to die for the privilege.
All right, well, overtime almost ticks down. Still a little bit of hope here for Japan. Anakin able to roll back in, but the front line of his team going down. He almost gets knocked into the well. We'll see how long he can delay on the Hammond, but it's certainly not looking good for Japan here. Chinese Taipei, very firm control on the point, and overtime, it's going to go away, and we're going to be going to a round 3.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the Hammond on a map like well, you know, against a tankier composition with maybe more characters without movement abilities. You can get more of those knockoffs into the pit. But Chinese Taipei quickly realizing that the Zen is their core weakness, switching to the Lucio, and it really just felt like the Hammond fell off after that. He had no effective targets to go on. Just wasn't getting the same value he got in those initial 2 fights.
Now, let me ask you this. You're Chinese Taipei, and you know Japan's game plan here is almost certainly going to be rely on the Widow to enhance the Widow. What do you do on Ruins if you want to play a strategy that doesn't involve a Widow yourself, or if you're getting out Widowed? What do you swap to? Like, how do you play this map when the Widow advantage isn't in your favor?
I mean, Widow Tracer is a great way to open. The Widow is just so strong on mid, you almost can't go without it, but switching to a Genji Tracer can be an effective way to recontest. But I like this comp that's coming out from Japan, a little bit unorthodox with the Lucio and the Brigitte, but that's going to give them a lot more staying power on the point and maybe put some pressure on to give Dep free shots. Blue, of course, looking to win the duel.
Blue in the backline, gets a nice headshot onto the tank on the other side. Early on here to start that out, and that always delays the team a little bit where your tank gets chunked. It's like, okay, just wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just farming up that infra side. And really with no main healer on the side of Japan, those long-range headshots can be even more punishing on the tanks.
Well, Kenmo goes in a little bit deep, taken down early. Chinese Taipei now going back the other way. Japan looking for their early cap. They need to get someone on the point. They can't quite get there in time. A Ting couldn't cross the threshold, taken out by Saba. So even with the early pickoff, Chinese Taipei not able to capitalize. Dep in the skies, almost gets Blue. And now it's just a matter for your Chinese Taipei. How do you grind this one back?
I mean, I just love this compositional selection here. You know Chinese Taipei doesn't want to run the Pharah anymore. They're forced onto the Tracer. But then you've got a Brigitte and a Lucio. There's really just no targets to dive. So this Tracer feels so ineffective.
Yeah, and I mean, the question is that, okay, do you want to go back to something and challenge Dep? Probably not, but the Brigitte just as good with those stuns to stop the flankers from doing what they want to do. And now Japan, as a result, up 30%.
Yeah, what I'm really impressed with here is Dep, despite having no mercy to pocket him and aid him with that damage boost, he's still up on the infra side. And it's going to be so impactful in this first fight.
Well, the infra side is up right now. Japan knows where Chinese Taipei is at all moments. Anakin, 78%. Rally going to come out here, so Japan feeling awfully healthy. A Ting down, and Kenmo goes, I'm just going to dive in even deeper. Japan seizes the opportunity, and they still have a lot of armor to spare.
Yeah, perfect rocket fail by Sabagod, knocking Winston into the corner just as he jumps. He can't escape and ends up just being a free kill to start that fight. And of course, with the perfect rally timing as well, so many characters with excess armor. Anakin is going to have such an easy time with this Dragon Blade, although OYO with the Transcendence ready to counterplay.
10-10 down, and Japan in firm control. Chinese Taipei, they only have 1 to 2 good pushes left here, and really they have to do something with the ults they have now. Infra sight up.
Yeah, I mean, an early pop in the infra sight by Blue, I don't agree with this. 10-10's just coming out of spawn. They're still going to have to delay their push, lose a lot of that infra sight timing. If you're Japan here, you can just give up the point without using ultimates and come back in for a major swing, so Chinese Taipei needs to get greedy.
Here comes Anakin, Blade coming out, immediately answered by the Transcendent, so this isn't going to get too much here. Anakin, though, finds a window on the back, slices him down, Blue's out of the fight. Nice redirection from Anakin, and Japan, they work around the Chinese Taipei initiation quite well indeed. 93% to them now, and Chinese Taipei, they have to go all in. They don't have a time to actually reset one more time.
Yeah, I mean, this is the final fight. They really can't give up the point here. A Ting's going to pull out the Primal Rage, but just so hard to get value as a solo Winston.
Overtime starting to tick down. Chinese Taipei rolling onto the point. Japan cleaning them up as quick as they come on in, and there's just not enough time here. Japan, firm dominance on the point. The final members are going to be rolling in, but this is looking like Japan is going to be grabbing map 1. Last little diva to clean up there, knock her away. Overtime. It's over. Japan takes map 1.
Yeah, and with ults to spare there, I love this composition from Japan. So smart. This is what comes in when you're an experienced team. You're able to practice these niche strategies for specific situations. You get a read, okay, we know Chinese Taipei, they love that Pharah. They're not so confident on that Widow Tracer. They haven't been wanting to run it. Let's give them something that they just can't beat with that composition, you know. No dive targets for the Tracer. Chinese Taipei just felt lost in that round.
Well, and the cool thing, and you mentioned mid-match, right, is the idea of how they were using Brigitte in the composition, where I think players in general, they go, oh, we're going to use Brigitte, we're going to throw in a 3-3 and just go to the most obvious solution. This is a more interesting choice where they mix it up a little bit more than what we're used to seeing in Overwatch. They go, you know what, actually we're going to throw in the Brigitte, but not throw it in a normal tank-heavy setup. We just want her back here to make life a little bit harder if you're the run a Tracer or run a Genji.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Genji even adds that composition further because you're so hard to initiate on when you have the Lucio and the Brigitte. You know, that's such a risky composition to dive into. You could get booed from multiple sources, you know, just get peeled as a Winston. That's the worst feeling ever. But at the same time, you're just constantly being spammed by this Genji. He's not a Tracer. He doesn't need to get close. He's just farming up those Dragon Blades, ready to force your ults whenever you make a misstep. And it really paid off there for Japan.
So you're Chinese Taipei, you're thinking, okay, what map do we bring them to here? And knowing the scouting report where you go, okay, Japan, they feel really good about their Widow. You don't want to give Dep really good, favorable hit scan maps. Where do you bring them to?
This is a really tough choice. I mean, King's Row is the natural choice to force a tankier composition. Japan has been favoring the dive, so maybe bringing them to the tanks takes them out of their comfort zone. But I think maybe this Widow matchup is going to be a little bit less one-sided than previously thought. You know, we were thinking of Dep as this all-star, and he certainly really performed on Ilios, but certainly Blue had his number on Lighthouse. So really, I think this could go either way on map selection. You don't necessarily need to go to a map that is anti-Widow.
All right, well, let's see what that map is. The suspense no longer, and yep, it's going to be King's Row. So it's kind of to your point is that this is something where they can be a little bit more tanky and they can use sightlines to their advantage a bit more. And we've seen this a lot of teams here where we know if they kind of like running tankier options, King's Row has been a strong favorite.
Yeah, King's Row, it's a very unique hybrid map. The other hybrid maps are all sort of do favor the dive. I mean, as most maps do, except maybe Eichenwald on points 1 and 3. But King's Row is sort of known for being tanky throughout. Some teams have broken that meta, very strong on the dive, able to force that, even on a map like King's Row. But time and time again, we see how powerful Zarya and Ryan are on these enclosed spaces of King's Row.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, name a more iconic duo than Zarya Ryan on King's Row. It's something we've been seeing all the way back to the very beginning of the game, and it's actually been good that that's kind of come back into vogue in the last year of Overwatch or so, where there was a point where teams were just like, you know what, Winston Diva no matter what on all maps, and then people realized, wait, Reinhardt's actually an okay hero.
Yeah, exactly. And what I love about King's Row is that you get this first point where so many teams are, favoring the Orisa, Junkrat, Widow composition, and I think of this composition as a real test of a team. It's quite simple to execute in a way. Obviously, there's still a lot of opportunities for high-skill players to, make their skill known, like a Widow or a Junkrat, in the right positions, able to get value. But for the attacking team, attacking into that requires such precision and timing. There's an element of distraction with the tanks. You need to pick the enemy apart because you can't really fight that Orisa head-on. So this is really a major test in my mind of how smart a team is at adapting to new situations, new compositions, reacting to the enemy's movement. Based on which window the enemy Widowmaker is peeking from, where the enemy Junkrat is standing, you have to approach the map in a totally different way. We've seen teams wrap all the way around with 3-3. We've seen them dive from the side as South Korea did. But it's really up to the team to decide how they want to approach that kind of really aggressive defensive composition.
We mentioned the different defenses we see, right? Like the old school favorite back in the day was that you'd run a Junkrat, and then recently we see more Junkrat in time, but we also see teams run the Hanzos, you run the double snipers essentially, and then even sometimes teams will run dives, so there's multiple different flavors of defense on this map.
Yeah, I mean, first point is really open-ended. It's up to the team. I think of it as, at one point it was that Ryan Zarya only always, but now, I mean, it's really up to the creativity and the unique strength of the team. Give yourself your best heroes and make a composition that sort of works well, but also suits the map.
All right, well, team's going to be assembling their heroes here, and on the defense first, it's going to be Japan rolling out from the backhand side, and this will make you happy. Here we got Anakin coming out here on that defensive Junkrat.
Yeah, very interesting too. Sabagot on the Roadhog going for a single healer composition. Not something we see too often here on the defense. It's going to make them a little bit more vulnerable to Shaolin's Dragon Blaze if he does commit to this Genji. Really no ways to save his own Mercy. But the Roadhog can always shut down that first push, give you that little ult snowball lead to give you a nice solid time hold, even if you're not getting a full stack on first point.
Well, the interesting thing here, it also introduces the concept of protecting the president, or in this case, protect President Claire, where if your Mercy goes down, if your solo healer is out of the fight, you're just not going to be able to bring it back in most situations.
Yeah, and Depp not on the Widow here, so there's going to be no Widowmaker from the side of Japan on this defense. Not what we normally see on this map. Some of these sidelines are deceptively long on King's Row. Tayo missing the first shield. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him.
Yeah, that's one of those small, minor mechanical errors where it's just like, okay, is this going to be a big deal? And sometimes it actually could be. But it's going to be Chinese Taipei coming out here on the offense first. We'll see what Anakin can do on this Junkrat.
Well, this single healer might pay off massively, setting up perfectly for a triple tank composition. Really, the vulnerability of the single healer is to that aggressive Genji dive. Crazy S, though, setting up for a set nade bio.
We'll see if this works. Bionade going over. Is it going to connect? And so far, looks like it did not connect. The set nade, not quite where Japan might have been. And Chinese Taipei, they're going to take this a little bit slow. They're setting up in the hotel, and now they're going to roll over to the point. Heavy damage coming in, though. A Ting almost taken down early. Japan collapsing the halt. Nice coming out from Japan, and off that halt, they collapse, they dive, they get the first 3 pickoffs.
Yeah, Sabagot eventually caught out, going to farm a little bit of ultimate our Chinese Taipei here, but Anakin with the Riptire, this is so hard to push into. You really have no answers if you're Chinese Taipei. I mean, this next push might just be a wash. Sabagot getting so much value, killing that Reinhardt first with no shield to protect him. The 3-3 just falls apart.
This just feels like the Junkrat dream right now. Anakin going to have the early Riptire up here, and Chinese Taipei, they've all booked a room in that hotel, but I got to tell you, that hotel gets pretty explosive at nights. Difficult to sleep. Riptire coming over the top, looking for anything. Greedy, 30 HP. No, not going to get the Reinhardt. And Ting healed back up. Chinese Taipei deals with it pretty well, but guess what? You got a Dragon coming back the other way, looking to split him off, but the Dragon also doesn't really accomplish much, and Chinese Taipei, though delayed, they've dealt with both ults.
Yeah, Dep finding Ana is going to stifle the push for a little bit. They really need that main healer back. But with the nano boost, if Blue is on high energy, a Ting though sneaking in from behind. Can he find a pin?
Oh, he went for it, but he gets chunked down. Not out of it yet. Dep, meanwhile, though, found OYO. The supports for Chinese Taipei getting decimated. And the problem there is that it felt like when your Ryan's going for the sneaky play, he's not shielding your team.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those plays that is kind of all in. If you don't get that pin, you are very rarely going to win the fight. Dep finding so much there. Really, Dep's been impressing me on the Hanzo. You know, we thought of him as more of a hit scan player. That was his focus, but, you know, showing that he can perform on the Hanzo just as well.
All right, well, the Chinese Taipei, they have an ace in the hole here. It's a Graviton with under 2 minutes left, but they're banking a lot on this.
Yeah, and sometimes this isn't enough. I mean, with the tanky composition, you don't have so much damage, so sometimes a Valkyrie is enough to just deal with that grab.
Well, self-destruct's gonna come in first. Is it gonna get anyone? No, not yet. That's a signal to go. Blue drops in the grab, picks up 2. That could be enough. They get rid of Anakin. They get Claire. There's no more healer left in this setup. Chinese Taipei off the grab from Blue, gonna easily move on to the point. Thick Japan, but it's still a pretty good defense coming out from Japan.
Yeah, and I love this choice by Sabagod. You know, plays a couple fights on the Roadhog, starts to realize, hey, maybe things are going to shift the other way. We know ults are coming from Chinese Taipei. He's already on the Zenyatta, already ready for that second point. It's so much stronger, you know, giving you a transcendence, really that counterplay for the grab that they were lacking before.
Meanwhile, for Japan, let me ask you this. Not every team likes running Junkrat here in second. Obviously, I think you have the tire, you stay on it. What do you think about Junkrat here?
Personally, I love it. I mean, I think the Hanzo Junkrat have a lot of natural synergy. Sonic Arrow alerting you to the position of enemies allows you to bounce mines off walls in ways that you wouldn't normally be able to do. And at the same time, Riptire, of course, we said, so devastating with no hit scan on the enemy team to kill it.
Yeah, and I mean, not only that, Riptire on its own, just very good for controlling ultimate economy, where you can just have one person use a Riptire and delay. It's pretty good. Japan, oh, they're not able to get away! The self-destruct still grabs 2! And as a result, Chinese Taipei catches Japan off guard. The tire for the Anakin only got 1, and this is a nice surge coming in from Chinese Taipei.
Perfect play by Shaolin, stunning the Rhine, making his shield drop just as the bomb deaths. Not pushing the cart there for a little bit of a minor mistake from Chinese Taipei, but just a great fight from them, getting so much out of just one ultimate.
And I think what went in there too is that they enabled Shaolin to get that bash to set up the self-destruct. It was OYO speed boosting in, where it's just like, no, you're not getting away. You're gonna accept this shield, and here comes the bomb. But Dep, now back into the fight here for Japan. Japan does get one more opportunity to get back in. Dragon, lots of oh, it was eaten! Dragon was eaten! Chinese Taipei with a great play from 10-10. Moving in, they force out the Transcendence. A Ting going in deep. Anakin blows himself up. And suddenly Chinese Taipei with a real opportunity to shock Japan here. Anakin brought back into the fight, but 10-10, can he get back out without losing the mech? Has he gotten demeched here? No, not quite yet. They pick off 2, and Chinese Taipei moving on in. The Earth Shatter, not enough.
Yeah, a Ting getting so much value here. The Graviton does come out from, I think, Tayo, but this is pretty questionable. So many left alive for Chinese Taipei. I don't think Japan's going to be able to hold this. Not at all. And now with a massive ult bank, Chinese Taipei looking to roll straight through third point.
And there's in a quick time, too. That's 3 minutes and 15 seconds. They've completely recovered from their malaise on point A.
Yeah, and Japan showing maybe a little bit of inexperience there, using both support ults at the same time. That's a real efficiency loss there. And now coming up against so many ults for Chinese Taipei, things are looking really grim. Japan going to the dive. They need to make something happen. They need to get a pick. They're not winning this fight straight up.
All right, Chinese Taipei, Graviton in tow. Here comes the Dragon from Dep. Is it going to do much? No. Chinese Taipei, they're able to sidestep. Graviton up. Is the fall through going to be there? Self-destruct over the top. Connects! Mercy, Farah out of the fight. Chinese Taipei now continuing the pressure here to Japan. This is looking very good.
Yeah, and with the nano boost ready. Oh, Dep finding the Ana though. This could be a big. Could set them up for a final contest here. They're definitely going to lose this fight, but maybe getting a last-second contest with no Ana. But then again, OYO with the sound barrier, ready to shut down anything. Anakin has to come up huge.
OYO's just ready to drop the beat. Anakin, can he even get out here in time? The payload almost getting to the very end. Beat, drop, Chinese Taipei feeling real tanky. Here comes a brush from Anakin. Not gonna get anything, completely nullified. Chinese Taipei getting pickoff after pickoff. Dragon comes in from the right-hand side. Forces a little bit of movement. Japan fighting for their very lives right now. They just need a little bit more. Farah coming in over the top. Anakin looking for anything. Under pressure. Gonna fall. And Chinese Taipei, they push it on through.
Kenmo falling with Primal there at the last second. That's a critical error. They're gonna be regretting that one.
Ooh, wow, Chinese Taipei surging at the very end, where Japan looks cool, calm, and collected in the very beginning. But how quickly things unravel on a hybrid map where just a few team fights go against you, and Japan was just struggling to recover.
Yeah, great understanding of the composition from Chinese Taipei, getting so aggressive with that break, always studying the run, using that triple tank advantage. You know, you need to get in their face that Lucio. You need to run them over quickly. Of course, you can't deal with the long-term damage from a double DPS comp. You have to end things quick. And Chinese Taipei understanding that, they're constantly going in, and I love to see the smiles on their faces, starting to build a little bit of momentum. Weak first point push, but turning it into a great time here on Kings Row.
And, you know, just to kind of rewind a little bit to what might have been the turning point in the map, and it certainly appeared to me, and I'm curious what you thought, it kind of goes back to me in that play where Shaolin was able to get the stun to set up the self-destruct, just boosted on in, right? That was a key where they're able to sort of see an opportunity. They committed a lot into it. Like, that would have been a disaster in terms of wasting a self-destruct if it didn't work, but it did work.
Yeah, exactly, and it's the teamwork coming in from Chinese Taipei. We would have thought that Japan had the advantage on that end as a full team, you know, playing together contenders for so long, but Chinese Taipei showing that they're ready to show up just as well.
All right, well, Japan not quite out of it here yet, even though Chinese Taipei has set a blisteringly fast time here in Kings Row with a little under 2 minutes left in their bank. Japan certainly can bring this back and more. We've seen teams set quicker times here. Now you take a look at their offense. They're going to be running here with a standard Pharah Widow setup, and the rest can be more towards a dive.
Yeah, we see this a lot, but Blue is ready to threaten these angles. Anakin, I like this, switching over to the Genji. Pharah can be a little risky. You know, you don't always know where the Widow's going to be at. It's up to Anakin really to get a ton of flanking value here. He needs to farm a Dragon Blade before OYO comes with the Transcendence.
My question here is, who's going to deal with the Junkrat on Chinese Taipei?
It has to be Depp or Sabagod finding those early picks. You know, Junkrat, of course, so strong, just playing around those corners, never giving you an angle. We'll see how Shaolin chooses to play this.
All right, Japan. Depp going to be going up the alley here to start things off. Gives him the early high ground, but going to be staring down Arisa Shield. Now, Anakin just gets dunked by Junkrat in the very beginning. Concussive mind, but ooh, OYO. Out, Depp strikes, looking for the win on the other side. That would have been huge. Doesn't quite get it. Resurrection going to come back up, but Depp already threatening. Chinese Taipei, though, still strong.
Yeah, Anakin falling to a trap there, nicely placed by Shaolin. Kenmo dropping very low on point. He's got no resources left. Blue takes him out.
Early pick off, Kenmo down, Chinese Taipei. Now a little bit wounded in the fight, not gonna be able to resurrect up anytime soon. Claire out of it. But as both teams trade out, this isn't too bad here for Japan on their attack. They're gonna get the respawn edge here in just a moment. But Shaolin with the Riptire looking about to get that, looking a little dangerous.
Yeah, Depp's been playing these angles so intelligently and aggressively here. Such low HP, doesn't care at all. Probably begging for healing in the comps right now.
Shaolin, meanwhile, so close to the Riptire, picks it up now, just needs to get a little bit of space. Tayo out of the mech, and he immediately goes for the tire, chases down Anakin, takes him down, gets the guaranteed kill, doesn't play around. And even though Depp was able to get Blue on the other side, it's one pickoff, it's a little bit later in the fight. Oh, he got OYO. Okay, Depp has now done critical damage.
Depp's in the long angle, but Blue shuts him down after the res. Great recontest there. If he loses that duel, things could go very bad here on first.
Now Japan, in trying to attack here, they've done damage, but Chinese Taipei still might be able to get back in. You're going to see the Infosite come back up here. Let's Blue go for a key pick off in the back once more. Doesn't quite have the angle. Meanwhile, Shaolin going to have to reposition. Why is repositioning? Japan is on the point. Anakin close to the blade.
Self-destruct coming in, doesn't look like it's going to find anybody. Nice dodge by Claire. The heals coming in for Japan. This is going to be a lot to deal with.
All right, meanwhile, Transcendence out. Anakin says, now it's time to go. Time to cut through some tanks. Deals with the supercharger, but otherwise gets a little bit juked, but still able to find Diva on top. Makes another to Blue, and that should be enough for Japan to get going. But really, this was a long defense by Chinese Taipei, and quite good at that.
Yeah, a resurrection on OYO is going to bring that Transcendence out, but it looks like a little bit of a waste here. Anakin already getting so much with that blade. Doesn't really care about the Transcendence, just chases down the Mercy regardless.
All right, well, that's going to be point A to Japan, and really, both teams showing strong defenses here. The turning point, though, could be how point B is played, where Japan's going to have to be just as quick as Chinese Taipei was in getting through the streets.
Yeah, and things are looking a little more grim for Shaolin. Chooses to stay on the Junkrat, wants to get value out of his Riptire, but that can be so hard against a dive composition, as we see out of Japan.
Japan right now, just biding their time. Depp looking for some early headshots. Meanwhile, Shaolin, time to let the tire rip. This is where you can get a good bit of stability. Finds Anakin, runs him right over on the right side, and now you look at the position coming out. Once you get that early pickoff, teams become way more aggressive.
Yeah, and Anakin off on his own there, but Depp doesn't care, striking back. Both tanks moving aggressively, but not getting any value out of it. The self-destruct finds crazy, yes. This could be big for Japan.
Japan right now struggling to find a way through. They might have found it here. They're going in pretty aggressively. Are they going to be able to fish off a Ting? They do. Kenmo chases him on down, but Kenmo also gives his life for it, so both teams down to Winston, 10-10, just buying time on the payload, and even though this is going the way of Japan, Chinese Taipei is buying more time on second than Japan did.
Yeah, definitely things are hotly contested here, but Japan still looking to close this map out, can force an overtime round here. There we saw how important it is not to waste those shift abilities on the tanks there. We see a Ting and 10-10 moving in, getting no value, and their whole team getting completely punished for their misplay.
All right, Japan, this is a fight they need to win if they want to have a chance of a competitive time. Chinese Taipei with options here. A good self-destruct might be enough. Japan right now, just setting the stage. Anakin in the back, close to a blade. They're trying to force Chinese Taipei as far back as possible. Shaolin is down. That's what they needed. Kenbo, though, gives his life. 5-on-5. Anakin probably going to have to invest the blade here. Deb picks off another as Anakin continues to hold. Dragon Blade in, grabs two. Anakin not done yet. Goes for the Mercy in the back, takes her head right off. And Japan getting all they need to get through point B.
Yeah, a little bit of misplay there from OYO, dropping that Transcendence prior to Anakin's Blade. He needs to be ready for that. That's the only ult they have to counterplay. Shaolin staying on the Junkrat, I can't agree with it. It doesn't feel like he's getting any value. That's part of the reason why it's so hard for a Ting and 10-10 to get value with their jumps. They don't have a DPS to follow it up.
I just need to be clear, you said he needs to swap off Junkrat.
I'm sorry, I know it's sacrilege, but I gotta say it, it's true.
Okay, well, he's gonna get one parting Riptire if he does decide to swap after. Riptire moving in, already taking a bit of damage, loops around, Depth finds it! Now Shaolin, are you gonna swap? We're gonna find out soon. Japan, though, getting stymied. A Ting knocks out two. And that should be enough for Chinese Taipei again to get a little bit of stabilization. And Jake, I gotta tell you, Shaolin heard you. He swapped to the Genji.
Yeah, this decision's a lot better. You know, it's just so hard to get anything with a Riptire with so many mobile characters in the enemy team. It's hard to chase them down without, as he did, you know, walking through those sidelines of depth.
All right, Japan.
Ting, though, setting up a major flank, though. Chinese Taipei looking to get really aggressive, maybe ameliorate this ultimate disadvantage.
Yeah, this is old school Miro style being that far back. Kenbo already out of the fight, so a Ting now not gonna have many people to challenge him as he continues to cleave the backline. He's gonna fall, and yet Chinese Taipei, they get enough space here that might be okay. They have to be careful, though, not to get any others picked off, but Anakin down. Blue doing some serious work.
Yeah, Blue coming up big on the Widowmaker with that Infrasight ready and waiting. Will he use it here? I don't think so. It looks like maybe even a little bit of over-aggression from Kenmo. Caught out without his bubble.
Japan, 2 minutes, 11 seconds left. Chinese Taipei almost certainly going to have a quicker time here, but Anakin with the blade, that's something that can open things right on up. Self-destruct coming in from Japan. Tayo doesn't get anything. Anakin still holding on to the blade. No, he actually got the mech. That's good. Anakin says, I want more. Blade out. Goes to the skies. Gets Blue. Looking for one more on the Mercy, but the Transcend stops his spree right then and there. And yet Japan still pressuring. And you see what they're doing right now, where they're continuing to push Taipei back.
Yeah, Deb finds OYO after the Transcendence, takes a Ting as well. Looking for Blue, finds a third, looking for a fourth. Can he get it? No, D.Va retreats into spawn. She doesn't want any of Deb's accuracy.
Deb has so much room to work with. There, Shaolin is down. He was the only threat to Deb. Deb now can continue the rain in the shots.
Deb's watching
it's
the
do
spawn.
or die. He's on the spawn. Japan just needs a little bit more emergency hammer coming out to the field, but that ball not going to be lasting for too much longer. Although, surprisingly, it's been enough. Shaolin actually gets back to the fight. Blade out, but it's met by the Transcendence. Japan has tools to keep up the pressure. They deal with the Blade and Genji. Def still uncontested on the top. Hasn't gotten a pick in a while, though, and that's been one reason why Chinese Taipei might be able to get back in. They're able to pick off Claire. Japan still struggling on the point. Primal Rage from Kenmo trying to get rid of the Hammond, who continues to swing around. A Ting has bought so much time here, but will it be enough?
I don't think so. The Blade coming out, maybe putting a period on this round, but that Hamster getting an absolutely incredible delay there on last, making that fight last way longer than it should have. Depth, though, absolutely lighting up the kill feed. That's not something you see every day. That's an impressive Widowmaker.
Depp was just able to get that last little bit of cleanup leading into the final fight, and that actually could have been over much quicker in most circumstances. So bravo the Chinese Taipei and the Ting to actually make the Hammond work that long. Oftentimes you see a Hammond loop on in, he just gets blown up immediately. Wasn't the case there.
Yeah, I also want to appreciate that initial blade to start the fight from Anakin. He forces the trance instantly. Of course, OYO making the right decision there, but then finds a Widow still. So he's getting an ultimate and a kill with it, which is a major positive trade.
Of course, this is some of Depp's finest here, where just when Chinese Taipei thinks, you know what, we can recover a little bit, Depp goes, nah, why didn't you go visit your spawn one more time?
Yeah, I love that by Depp getting right up in the spawn there at the end, just asserting his dominance. You know, sometimes that can have a real effect on momentum. You don't like to see a Widowmaker killing you in the spawn.
Now, to be clear, going into the next round, Chinese Taipei, they are ahead. They have about a lead of a minute 12, but let me ask you, given how Kings Row works with once you get first point, the payload can move quite a while. Is this a significant advantage going in? How do you usually see this sort of situation?
Personally, I don't think it's too important on a map like Kings Row, but what it can mean is that an initial pick from Blue on the defense could completely end Japan's chances of taking a win here, give them a best chance at a draw. So it's really on Blue here to shut this push down. He can end things before they begin with that 1 minute clock.
Well, the 1 minute for Japan has already started, down to 50 seconds. And we'll see just how swift they are here. Usually you want to be pretty quick so you can guarantee 2 attempts. Depp now on the Tracer, so not going for the Widow, where it might be a little bit of a time before you get the first pick off. Instead, going to the Tracer, which is a little bit more explosive, diving way deep, 12 HP, barely able to rewind in time, but Anakin was able to get OYO. The distraction actually works out okay, but the problem is they're unable to deny the res. Chinese Taipei still in a good spot here, even as Japan dives, only 20 seconds left.
Yeah, a Ting using the Fortify, so hard to get him off this point. Kills falling in the kill feed here. Blue finding Claire, that's a major pick to open this fight, and of course no Widowmaker to contest him. He's free firing from the high ground.
OYO continues to get pick after pick on the top. Shaolin, 68% in good spirits, 5 seconds left. Japan running out of time here. We'll see what they can do. They've already gotten a tick, so that we likely will not be in a draw situation. Overtime. On the way over, can they touch point time? Depp gets blown away! Shaolin stops him from getting that last second recontest. What a concussive mind to do that in the moment.
Yeah, Japan not able to make that dive work on first point, but as you said, getting 1 tick, sometimes that's all you need. 39% can be a mountain unclimbable for Chinese Taipei if Japan holds strong in the defense. We saw how long it took Chinese Taipei to break the defense the first time, so maybe recreating that effectiveness. Let's see what Sabagat decides to do. I think that'll be really interesting. Will he come out on the triple tank, or will he play a more classic Zenyatta?
It'll be interesting for sure. And one thing to note here again is the idea of victory conditions, right? Where Japan still did enough to give themselves a reasonable shot of winning the map, 39.1%. Obviously, they would have liked to have gotten the payload moving, gone for that very, very long, undefined overtime push. Didn't quite happen here, and yet you think about both teams' initial defenses, this is still quite winnable.
Yeah, certainly if Chinese Taipei can't find the cap here, they're going to be really kicking themselves. It looked like that fight was so clean for them, but just a little bit of missed awareness, not getting on the point in time to stop the tick.
All right, Chinese Taipei, we'll see what they have here. They have within their power the ability to even up the series 1-1 going into the half, and that certainly make things rather spicy here. Looking at Japan on the defense, though, you got Anakin on the Junkrat here once more, and he's not going to the hotel, he's going beyond the Orisa.
Interesting though, Shaolin on the Pharah could get a lot of value. Depp off the Widowmaker, there's no hit scan to contest a Pharah. She could put a ton of pressure on, and she's already knocked Tayo to the low ground. This really messes up the defense.
Shaolin coming on in, Rockets connecting, 23% already. This is not what you want early on for an Orisa-fueled defense. Shaolin for a little bit more, shooting through the small little gap. Diva already almost demed. Shaolin continuing the rain in Rockets. This is just escalating quite poorly for Japan as Anakin's picked off.
Shaolin getting so much value here. Depp has to shut him down. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop him.
This is looking so good for Chinese Taipei right now. They only need a little bit more. Japan is round. The barrage connects, takes down another 2. Shaolin has blown apart the defense of Japan. And Chinese Taipei, they're gonna grab the point. They even up the series 1-1.
Yeah, tying it up there are Chinese Taipei. Great understanding there. They saw Depp ran the Hanzo last round, punishing with that Pharah, and of course with no answers, Shaolin with such a quick barrage, putting a period on things on Kings Row.
Well, guys, we knew that this match could be close. 2 dark horses racing against each other. Now at the half, it is 1-1. And this is kind of what we thought could happen here. And man, it's been great to watch.
Japan's strongest map type, of course, was Goal versus Russia, so maybe this is going to be a tough time for them to come back in the series, but they do get the map pick, maybe a time to equalize, bring things back. As a full team, they certainly have their favorite maps, they have their favorite positions to play.
Now, of course, we talked a little bit about Depp and how he's been playing on the Widowmaker. What do you think of the adjustments that came out from Chinese Taipei to sort of mitigate his impact over the course of the series?
Personally, I was just surprised to see him come out on the Hanzo again on defense, but Shaolin recognizing that and instantly punishing, already prepared on the Pharah pick, not showing in spawn, but instantly comes out and just gets so much value, knocking Tayo down at the start. I mean, even though they don't find any initial kills from that, you saw how disjointed Japan looked after that moment. They really never got a chance to regroup. No one felt comfortable playing that shield with the Orisa knocked to the low ground. That was just a major play from Shaolin.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the Orisa fortifying, and it's actually quite difficult to get her off that spot, but if you can have an early opening setup like Shaolin did there, where you're able to get her out of position, how hard is it for a defense to actually recover from that?
you know, it's all about the quick moments there when you're playing that dive composition. You have a little window of opportunity. If you move that Orisa out of position, even just a little bit, knocking her to the low ground, that's like a 5 or 6 second reset for the defense. And in that time, we saw the offense get so aggressive. Shaolin was right over their head, just raining rockets into the hallway. And if Depp can't find the counter kill there, there's really no one left to stop Shaolin's reign of terror.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the far dream that we saw getting lived on there, and also a testament to how much you can actually play in this meta, where not every team decides to do that. But we're going to be throwing off to an interview. Let's check it out.
Okay, so I'm with Shaolin of the Chinese Taipei team here. Big win just now against Japan. Now we're all tied up into Series 1-1. I'm joined by the DPS player of this squad, Shaolin, and of course our amazing translator, Jing. So, wanted to ask, coming into the matchup, were you nervous about going up against Japan? This is a full team. Did he feel confident in the matchup?
你知道现在你对打的日本队是 Cyclops 嘛，对不对？那我当然知道你有跟他有打过经验，那你对上他们会紧张吗？
是还好，因为以前就打过了，所以还好。
They feel pretty confident because they play with Cyclops before in contenders. So yeah, to him just like it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just another matchup for this guy right here. Okay, so now looking forward here, this will be Japan's pick, as they were the losers of that last game. What does he think that they're going to pick for Game 3? And does he think that it even matters because this squad's feeling good and they're going to get a win?
因为接下来刚刚日本输了前一个地图分嘛，对不对？所以是日本会选下一张地图。那你觉得日本会选哪一张图？而且你会不会紧张？然后你还是很有自信。
选什么图应该是他们选什么就打什么吧。然后紧张的话是还好。
So it doesn't matter what they pick. Fairly confident. So whatever they pick, we're just gonna win anyway. So
whatever they pick, they're just going to win anyway. I like that. I like that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Shaolin. Really appreciate it. Jing, is always a pleasure. And that is going to do it for us here. But we're going to go to a break. When we come back, the conclusion of this series.